What happened last night? Wow. Well guys, it looks like we're finally gonna get our first chance to finally test out these tires in the snow. Only problem is I gotta do it in rush hour commute on my way into the office. Let's hope they pave the roads. All right guys, let's get started. All right, I am either really crazy for doing this or smart. Well, I don't know if I'd call it smart, but all right guys, so let's take off. Now we've had a little bit of snow, but this is the first time I've seen it like really stick and be consistent, enough so that I could say I'm genuinely actually testing these tires. Now, I live out a little bit kind of out of town, more in a township than an actual city, and they do not, and I repeat, do not plow the roads around my house whatsoever. So I probably got, I think I got about 5 kilometers, so about 2.5-3 miles before I touch anything that you would call plowed or conditioned or salted or anything. So this should be fun. So far, it's not sliding all over the place. I mean, I'm going slow, but oh yeah, they're biting in. So that's good. I figured like the first 5 kilometers, 3 miles is gonna take me like half my drive just to be able to get through this. But no, this isn't too bad. This is actually pretty good. I'm actually gonna turn on the front camera here. I didn't turn that on for you guys. Give you guys an idea of this section. Now, as I turn the corner, it's a lot of guys I guess have been leaving for work already, so it's actually kind of slushed away on this part. But yeah, that was actually that was a surprise. They said it's gonna snow all week, and we were like waiting and waiting, and then they kept pushing it back, and then it was like a few snowflakes mixed with rain. Okay, sure. I'm like, no problem, typical Vancouver kind of, snow. Just cross that stick. Wow, okay. Doesn't get out of control. It's just kind of, it'll spin if I put my foot into it, obviously, but it doesn't kind of start to slide out on me or anything. It just kind of tracks very straight. So that's a positive. All right, guys, Continental DWS-06. The dry, we're pretty good. The wet, our last video, we saw that. That turned out pretty good. The snow, not bad. I think it's actually gonna work. So I'm happy with that. All right, guys, let's see how the rest of this drive goes. Now it looks like it's mostly just wet. Yeah, okay. It was only fun just in my neighborhood. All right, well, that was a quick one. But yeah, let's just see if the rest of the drive I get anything crazy. All right, guys, I'll check in with you in just a minute. All right, guys, well, that turned out to be a little bit of a bust. I thought there would be a lot more snow, but I guess as I get a little bit closer into the city, it's kind of faded off, so that sucks. I was really looking forward to actually driving in the snow. I wanted to see what this was gonna be like. So with that being said, in the last couple of weeks, I've noticed a lot of guys asking a lot of questions about the track key and having the car tuned. We just put the tune back on the car, so I kind of thought, you know what, let's do a quick kind of update and explain how this whole HP tuners with the track key thing kind of works. So before I get started, this might be a review for a lot of guys who have Boss 302s, but let me first explain really what the track key is from Ford. So when you get a Boss 302, you can, if you selected it from the option, you could have 2 keys. Your standard key, which is just like every other Mustang out there as far as how it's calibrated. But then there's the red key, which they call the track key. Now, the biggest thing is You know, they claim over 200 different settings are changed. So a lot of people look at that as if it's a tune on a key. And to a certain degree it is. They do play with timing, they do play with fuel slightly, but it's nothing aggressive. Any aftermarket tuner is typically going to be able to net you, double-digit numbers for horsepower gains just on a tune alone. With this track key, at best, it's been able to produce 10 horsepower to the wheels, at best. And in most cases, it's kind of a moot point. It swings by a couple of horsepower here and there, and then you get heat soak, and there's no real way to really tell how much power it makes. But to me, that's not what makes the track key a desirable thing to have on the car. It does some other things to the different control systems on the vehicle that as a tuner, you can't touch, you cannot change. And one of the most important ones to me is the throttle response. It sharpens it up dramatically. And when you off throttle, the car will start to decel automatically, meaning it will slow down the second you let go of the gas pedal. It'll let the gears and the transmission slow the vehicle down. Now, on a typical Mustang and even the standard key, they've programmed in a 2-second hang. So the car will kind of float for 2 seconds and then start to slowly decel. Now that's great for like a daily driver, somebody who wants something easy to drive back and forth, manual transmission, sure, make it easy. That's great. But when you're at track day events and you're coming into a corner hot, you get off the gas, you don't want the car to continue to accelerate for even half a second. You want it to instantly stop. So that's a big key advantage to the track key. Number 2, which a lot of guys who have these cars love, launch control. You now get launch control and a bunch of other track apps if you have a 2013 and up. So all of those cool features, the general responsiveness of the motor, that's controlled by a separate module. You get all of this only with the track key. Now the problem is, up until recently when HP tuners finally said, hey, we're going to crack this whole dual key system, you had to basically turn your Mustang Boss 302 back into a standard GT. You had to eliminate the track key, just having the one key, and then you could tune. The reason for this was because of the fact that it does play with timing and it does play with fuel slightly. Any company that makes a tuning software, a tuning product, doesn't want to have you coming and screaming at them that you blew your motor because you put the track key in and it slightly changed the fuel and ignition timing, and now all of a sudden when your tuner was tuning your car to be like perfect air-fuel ratios, perfect ignition timing, and now this key is messing with it, it goes and breaks something. So it's not that you couldn't do it, it's just that nobody wants to be liable for that. Nobody wants to be the guy that you're coming back to screaming because you blew your motor. So that's kind of the main reason why they all say, no, it's got to go back to stock and then you can tune it. But now you've lost launch control, now you've lost track apps, now you've lost loppy idle. Sorry, that's another key thing. With the track key and the car's idling once it's warmed up, it starts to chop a little bit. It makes it sound like it's got cams. That's just kind of cool. I mean, anyone who says that like, oh, that's just stupid. Well, if you had it on your car, you'd love it. So, haters are going to hate, but it's actually kind of cool when you're sitting at a traffic light, makes the car rumble a little bit, shakes a little bit, reminds me of my old 67, reminds me of my Celine that had actual cams in it. It's kind of cool. Call it hokey, sure, but I like it, so, is what it is. But all of that being said, what if you want to actually tune your car? What if you want to actually get better performance out of your car? Well, what are you going to do? Well, you're going to need to get it actually tuned. And if you're like me and you kind of want to play around with some things, you actually want to try and maximize the amount of power, you want to tune it, but you're caught in this dilemma where you don't want to actually have to remove the track key. Now, at the time that I made my decision to actually put the track key on the car, Ford had no availability of putting the track key back on the car. They discontinued it. So if I decided to remove it, that was it. Like, I would never be able to get it back. Since then, they've actually brought the track key back, and I know some people have recently added it to their cars. That's great, that's awesome. But when I had to make my call, I was like, I don't want to lose this. So HP Tuners comes out with this whole system. The way it works is, they've been tuning Mustangs for a while, and you don't get a physical handheld tuner like you would with Diablo or Bama, all those guys, you get a physical tuner, you plug it into the OBD2 port, you know, your tuner then connects that to their laptop, they do the stuff in the software, they upload, you can save a couple tunes on the handheld, they can data log for you, you know, all those things. Those, you know, they're great for standard Mustangs. If I had a standard GT, that's probably the way I would have gone. But because I want to keep track of you, this is the way I went. So instead, you pay for 2 licenses. Now the reason why you need 2 is because you have 2 keys. So you essentially have 2 entirely separate tunes on the computer, and you need to pay for 2 of them. So now that you've paid for that, HP Tuners actually has worked before to get licensing so they can unlock the factory computer. So with those licenses and the HP software on a laptop connected directly to the OBD2 port with a little control module, now my tuner can actually tune everything like he would in any other software for the standard key and the track key. He's able to do, you know, fuel, ignition timing, all sorts of things that a tuner would do, but now he has 2 tables to work with. So he has 2 ignition tables, 2 fuel tables. I'm not a tuner, so I couldn't tell you everything that's in there. I try to pay attention, but you know, I go to Nick because Nick knows his stuff. I know my stuff and what I do for a living. Nick knows how to tune cars, so I leave it to him, and I try to follow along, but you know, truth be told, I should probably pay a little more attention maybe, but there's a lot going on besides just those 2 parameters. But now he can tune for both keys. Now you could choose to have your standard key be very normal and maybe just improve the air-fuel ratios, just so maybe it's a little bit more fuel efficient. We actually did that with mine, but we still actually want to give me very close to the same kind of power levels with my standard key and my track key. That was just the way we decided to do it. But I mean, talk to your tuner. If they want to kind of give you 2 night and day keys, go for it. I mean, you totally can do it with the HP software. But when it came to the track key, you know, we went a little bit more aggressive, not much, but just a little bit. And we made sure that, you know, everything that was in there as far as like the choppiness at idle and all that stuff to give you the track idle, all that was going to get retained. So that was the key thing that I really want to make sure of. I'm like, if I'm going to spend this money to do it, that's what I want to do. Now, as far as, you know, up here in Canada, I had it tuned up here. So all the dollars I'm about to talk to are in Canadian dollars. You know, factor a 25% difference if you're in the US. But for me to get the 2 licenses, and I think we were 3 hours dyno time, we were in and around $800-900 taxes in and stuff like that. So, you know, it's more expensive, plain put. I mean, it's compared to a standard tuner, because of the fact that I have to pay for 2 licenses on the vehicle, that does add up. But the fact that I get to keep what makes a Boss 302 unique, that was huge for me. That was a no-brainer. I had to go that way. And now I have the peace of mind of knowing I can throw long tube headers on this thing. I can go crazy. I can supercharge it. I can do whatever I want. And I still get to keep both my keys. So I really hope that was helpful for some of the guys out there. I love answering these questions for you guys, but I get asked them so much, I just thought, you know what? Let's just cover it off in a video, and hopefully that helps a few more people who maybe I just don't want to ask or just not sure. So, all right, guys. Well, maybe the snow will come back. Maybe we'll do another video on that. But for now, I think I'm going to leave it at that one. Thanks again for watching, guys. We'll see you guys next week. Take care. Bye.